You're watching On Point on News 9. I am Krishna Kumar. A fresh diplomatic opening has emerged in the escalating tensions involving Iran, and this time Tehran has put a structured proposal on the table for the United States of America. According to sources, Iran has proposed a three-stage roadmap aimed at ending the conflict, reopening critical trade routes, and eventually addressing the nuclear issue. The proposal shared through international mediators comes at a time when direct talks between Washington and Tehran remain stalled. So what exactly is Iran offering? The first step is a complete end to the war. Iran is seeking firm guarantees that hostilities will stop, not just against itself, but also against its regional ally Lebanon. Only after this condition is met does the second stage begin, and that focuses on the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil shipping routes. Iran wants discussions on managing and reopening this vital passage, which has been severely affected by the ongoing conflict and the US naval blockade. And then comes the third and most contentious issue, the nuclear program. But notably, Iran has pushed this to the final stage. Tehran is signaling that it's willing to discuss uranium enrichment and its nuclear stockpile, but only after the immediate crisis is resolved. However, this approach could complicate Washington's strategy. The US has long used economic and military pressure to force Iran into making nuclear concessions. Ending the conflict early could weaken that leverage. And even as this proposal is being considered, tensions remain high. US President Donald Trump has indicated that the naval blockade on Iran will continue, suggesting that sustained pressure could force Tehran to concede. A key meeting is now expected in Washington, where top US security officials will assess the situation and decide the next steps. Meanwhile, Iran is actively engaging with regional and global players from Oman to Pakistan and Russia, keeping diplomatic channels open despite the deadlock. The big question now is, will this three-stage plan lead to de-escalation, or is it simply a tactical move in a larger geopolitical standoff? For now, the ball is in Washington's court. And now we have our guests joining us on the broadcast. We have Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former Indian diplomat, now joining us on the broadcast. We also have Major General Sudhakar G also joining us. Thank you both of you for being with us here. Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, let me begin by talking to you because, you know, diplomacy is what everybody is wanting at this stage, but that's the only thing that is not happening. Do you expect this three-stage proposal to bring the US back to the table?
Well, let's see how the US reacts. From what I have seen in the media, the US has received the proposal through mediators, but it has not reacted to it. Now, certainly, Iran's strategy reflects a tactical shift. For by placing the nuclear issue last, Iran aims to secure immediate relief from military and economic pressure, that is the US blockade, before addressing the more complex and contentious nuclear concessions issue. So it wants the war to stop first, it wants the US blockade to end before the nuclear issue could be discussed. But then, you know, the US has always prioritized the nuclear issue. It wants the nuclear issue to be discussed upfront. So while this plan seeks to build trust through maritime cooperation and a ceasefire, avoiding the maximalist nuclear demands that caused previous talks to fail, it remains to be seen how President Trump reacts to it.
Okay.
Many analysts are saying he is not going to accept it, as lifting the blockade and ending the war would remove the leverage that Washington is currently using to force nuclear concessions. So let's see how the US reaction is going to be. But at the moment, as I said, the US has traditionally insisted on nuclear commitments upfront, leaving the ultimate success of the proposal from Iran uncertain.
Okay, Ambassador Prabhudas, hold on to that thought. I'm just going to come back to you. Major Sudhakar ji, I want to ask you this. Does the fact that Iran, is offering this deal where it is clear, as Ambassador Prabhudas is saying, it wants relief first. Does this then, is it showing its hand in the sense that it's feeling the heat of the naval blockade on its economy and that it wants it to stop first before it can think about what, Iran wants to do with its nuclear, plans?
Yeah, good evening, Krishna. Thank you for inviting me for your show, and my very warm greetings to accomplished and distinguished co-panelist. And I totally agree and endorse what the ambassador has said. My take on the whole issue is that, without any doubt, a quick response to your question is that it is only, I would say, axiomatic to frame a question of that kind, wherein the status of Iran's economy, political stability, and the military attrition that it has been subjected to would be questioned. It goes without saying. Here is a country for past 47 years, embargoes after embargoes, and trade barriers and sanctions. I think this is the only country which has got maximum sanction. Russia has got something close to 27,000. It has got much more than that. So that is one part. Secondly, the thing is that it is enduring. It is able to bear all the challenges. Despite the economic progress, the high rate of inflation, the rate of rial having gone down to 1.5 million times against the dollar, the country is still standing up. It is still, able to withstand the challenges. So what is actually coming out, and if I may respond, little tweaking your question, is that first and foremost thing is that Iran is keeping the process of dialogue open. That's very, very important. That's a first clear indication. Second thing is that still, even now, there is a huge element of trust deficit. Therefore, they have gone in for prioritizing as per the national interest of Iran. And third and most important thing is they are buying time. Why are they buying time? People start speculating that there is lack of unity between IRGC and the mosaic ecosystem and the architecture. Well, any country is going to have that kind of differences. The top 49 senior leaders, they have been bombed to death. The supreme leader has been bombed to death. The successor is also under treatment. Which country in the world, even US, if Donald Trump is eliminated or assassinated, they also would be in a state of disarray. So why single out Iran? So there is nothing exceptional. I would still respect the military credibility of this country, despite practicing asymmetric deterrence. But what is of relevance is that I am glad and very happy Iran is standing up to all challenges, coming for the need of the global imperative. The global imperative, as per my understanding, is that this mindless conflict must come to an end. Call it by any name, de-escalation or conflict termination, or Donald Trump looking for an exit. I don't think he's looking for exit. He will continue. You mark my words. This man is determined to continue. Don't be shocked and surprised if he comes with boots on ground, and people have not been able to understand. Boots on ground doesn't mean that he's going to scale the mountains. He's already having boots on ground when he's going to capture. He's already captured, I think, the tankers of Iran. What does it mean? Helicopters going and landing there on the shipboats, and their troops landing there. That is boots on ground. That has to be understood. The slow incremental process of boots on ground have started. Okay. And he's not going to respond straight away. At least he knows that Iran is interested in the dialogue. And I think America, it's too early, too premature to come to any kind of conclusion.
Okay.
I would be logical to say that it's a welcome development, and Iran is showing signatures of being in the side of the peace and and carry out some important activities to de-escalate this
Yeah,
conflict.
yeah. Ambassador Prabhudayal, Major Sudhakarji is saying, one has to find an end to this mindless war, this mindless conflict. All kinds of war, mindful or mindless, they end on the diplomacy table. And this time around, the table is vacant as we speak. A last round of talks, which took 21 hours, ended without a breakthrough. And you've had, U.S. delegation supposed to go to Islamabad. Last minute, that trip gets cancelled. Iran's foreign minister has already been in Pakistan. Is also negotiating, is having talks with Oman as well. Do you think all of this will enable, a fruitful resolution at the earliest, or do you expect this to go on for much longer?
Well, it's very difficult to say. As you said, diplomacy probably offers the best option. But the situation is such that the positions of the two sides appear to be very far apart. And for that reason, diplomacy is not succeeding. Now, you referred to the second round of talks that was scheduled to take place after the first round had happened. Now, in the first round, which lasted over 21 hours, there was no sort of agreement reached. Then, as regards the second round, the Iranian foreign minister came to Islamabad, but he left from there even before the US delegation had embarked on its travel plans for Islamabad. So, in other words, there was no point in the American delegation arriving in Islamabad when the Iranian foreign minister had already left that place. So it appears to me that this itself indicates that the two sides are just feeling each other out. The Iranian foreign minister wanted to have consultations in Islamabad, in Oman, and also in Moscow, while at the same time putting across this three-point plan. So now, while Iran's plan seeks to decouple the ongoing conflict and the naval blockade from the nuclear-related issues,
right,
and it wants to get immediate relief through the US if the US accepts this plan. But nonetheless, the fact of the matter is that Trump has been insisting on giving priority to nuclear commitments, and particularly for the cessation of uranium enrichment.
Right.
And therefore, it doesn't seem that diplomacy is getting much of a chance to succeed. The two sides have positions which are very far apart.
Yep.